Hello, Liz here from the Chicago Children's Museum, and today we are going to be playing with routines. So I'm going to help you set up some routines to help you with independent play. The first thing that you want to do is pick a song. Any song. It can be fast, slow. What you're going to use this song for is a transitional cue. Before you start independent play, you're gonna play this special song, and that's gonna let your kiddo know, oh, it's almost time for me to play alone. Over the long run, this is gonna be a lot less work for you adults because you just have to press play, and that song is gonna communicate what you need to tell your child. So for example, you might pick that song, or maybe this song. Whatever song, that is your first step in creating a fun routine for independent play. Your second step is to use timers. If you don't already use timers with your kiddo, you may want to play some games or practice with them. For your timer, you can use an egg timer, your cell phone timer, or my personal favorite, an online timer. So if you just Google, literally just Google fun timer, you will get this page that pops up with all these different options. We'll do a 30-second timer. And what's really cool about these timers is you can see the amount of time that's passed. This creates a lot of security for your kiddo because they don't have to ask you how much time has passed. Because imagine this is set for 30 minutes. Right now they can see, oh, we're almost halfway done, right? So also using a timer, you're teaching some math skills. Isn't it cool to be able to just pull those into your independent play as well? So again, the timer is great because also it leaves you out of the discussion. If your kiddo's not super thrilled to play alone, because let's face it, you adults are awesome, like you could say, well, we're listening to the timer right now, right? And this helped me when I was a classroom teacher because there were times where we just had to work quietly because some kids couldn't work with a lot of talking going on. So rather than creating a lot of friction between me and the students, it was the timer's job. Another thing you can use, so first we talked about our transitional cue, that special song. Second, we talked about the timer. You can also use a visual cue. Maybe there's some times that you don't want to use a timer. What you can do is say, like, let's say for adults at your workspace, you have a special stuffed animal or something at your space, and whenever that special stuffed animal is wearing their mask, that means it's time for independent play. That also could communicate to your child, you know, their caregiver has a really important video chat going on, or they really need to focus. So that way, your kiddo has something fun to look for, right? These boundaries we set can be silly, they can be fun. It could even be something that you and your child pick together. It could be a sign that something wears. It could be a special object. But again, it's less work for you adults to help communicate to your child when it's time to play alone and when they can play together. The last thing I want to talk about is how to set your agreements. You might be wondering, what does Liz mean by agreements? Well, agreements is, I think, a much more positive way to approach what we refer to as rules. Rules to me do not involve the child. It just seems like it's something the adult is setting that the child doesn't get a say in. An agreement is something that just in the word itself communicates that you're both agreeing on it. So first thing you want to do to make your chart is you could just use copy paper. This does not have to be something fancy, but you want to title it, this is your independent play agreements. And you want to make this together. I, with my classrooms, when I could, would always make our agreements together. Then you want to come up with some. So you can do this off of my chart or make up your own. You can put anything on it you want. But the thing is you want to talk about it. So during independent play, I will play alone until I hear the timer. It's as simple as that. That's what you're agreeing to. When you're independent playing, when you hear that timer, it's time to play alone. When you're making this chart, you also want to think about the developmental needs of your kiddo. How old are they? Are they reading yet? Maybe pictures would be better. So for instance, I made a little picture here where I have a kiddo, a small stick person playing alone. There's the timer. And then they're playing with a big stick figure. Your drawings don't have to be complicated. I could do something much fancier than this, but for my needs, I just need to simply communicate child playing alone, child playing with an adult. The next one I think is just really clear, but it's good to talk about anyways. I will go to the bathroom when I need to. That is something you want to put in there, especially if you're in potty training mode. Maybe that when they go to the bathroom, they need to come to you. But having this here makes it very clear for what they need to do so you don't have an accident. And for that picture, just draw a toilet, right? And lastly, I will get an adult if there is an emergency, right? You might want to talk to your child about what an emergency is. Is it having, not being able to find a favorite toy? No. Is it falling down and getting an ouchie? Yes. I think it's important to communicate this right away. So again, you know that this is an agreement sheet that's made out of love. And so for that, I just drew a stick figure here with an ouchie on their hand, right? So it's very simply explaining, I got an ouchie. So it's okay to break our rule here to go get help from an adult, okay? So you can put stickers on this, make it fun. You can make it fancy. A simple thing I do to make my essential agreements look important is put it in a cheap frame. You can get frames like this at, thrift stores, order cheap ones online. I like it because it gives it some weight. Like, this is an important document, right? You want to make this easily found, easily seen. After they play, you can also reflect. Have them tell you how they think they did during their independent play. There's also a time that maybe you have a routine of them telling you their favorite part of independent play. When I teach classes, I always like to ask all my kids, pretty much any age, what was your favorite part and what was your least favorite part? And those two things are so useful for me because I want to be an effective teacher. So knowing what didn't work for them, I can change that. So again, having that open dialogue with your child is really empowering and makes this a fun experience. I hope you found this all very helpful. These are techniques that I really do use, and I hope they help you. And I do want to leave by saying, don't be disheartened if it takes a few weeks for this to really take off. Because at the beginning of the school year, I always knew my first week was going to be really tough because we wouldn't be doing like what I really love to do, which is just the art stuff. We'd be practicing routines, practicing how to get out materials, practicing how to put them away. All of this using the alarms and the music to cue things. But in the long run, it would save me so much time because they would just know. The classroom would run itself essentially. And that's what you might want to have happen at home. So this will be a little bit of work at first, but I can confidently tell you that eventually it's going to help you do much less. Also, I want to say if you have a technique or a routine or strategy that works great at home, please put it in our comments or use an @ or a hashtag Chicago Children's Museum because we do want to share the knowledge that I know you all have out there. So thank you so much for joining us in this independent play series. And remember, play never stops.